You take out the trash without thinking about it. A bag goes to the curb. A truck comes. It disappears. That's the whole transaction in your mind. Gone. Forgotten. Somebody else's problem now. But what if that truck never came? It doesn't come for a week. It doesn't come for a month. It never comes again. The real answer is far stranger than you'd expect, because you've already run this experiment before without meaning to, and the results are sitting in landfills and history books right now, waiting to be dug up. Day 1. Nothing happens. Your kitchen bin fills up. You shrug and let it sit. Day 3. The smell starts. By day 7, every household on your street has its own private mountain forming in the yard, and the smell is no longer a hint. It's a presence. Here's the part most people miss. Garbage doesn't just rot into nothing. It becomes an ecosystem. Rats find it first, because rats always find it first. Then flies. Within 2 weeks, a single uncollected pile can be hosting generations of insects that didn't exist when the trash first hit the ground. You created life, just not the kind you invited. Would you have guessed that garbage builds its own biology this fast? Anthropologist William Rathje spent decades studying exactly this. He founded the Garbage Project at the University of Arizona. His teams physically dug through landfills to see what was actually there. Newspapers from the 1950s were still readable decades later. Ink intact. Landfills seal air out. Nothing really rots down there. That single discovery matters more than it sounds. Uncollected trash isn't a problem that solves itself. It's a problem that waits. Now scale this up. Not your street, your city. Naples, Italy, actually lived through a version of this. In the 2000s, organized crime infiltrated the waste system so deeply that collection collapsed for weeks at a time. Streets filled with garbage stretching entire blocks. Residents burned the piles themselves, and the smoke carried its own toxic cost. A city cannot function with its own waste sitting inside it, decomposing in the open. Why does something this mundane carry so much weight? Because trash collection isn't really about cleanliness. It's disease control disguised as convenience. Go back to London in 1858, and you'll find what historians call the Great Stink. The Thames had become an open sewer for a city of millions, and the smell grew so overwhelming that Parliament reportedly considered relocating its own sessions away from the river. Reformer Edwin Chadwick had warned for years that filth and disease traveled together. But almost nobody moved until the people in power personally couldn't breathe. That pattern repeats everywhere humans gather in large numbers. Waste is not a side effect of civilization. It's the tax civilization keeps paying, every single day, or the bill comes due with interest. So picture it fully, no collection, anywhere for a full year. Cities become uninhabitable long before that year ends. Waterborne disease spreads the way it did before modern sanitation existed at all. Rat populations explode past anything a city ever planned for. Emergency rooms fill with infections that used to be rare in developed places. Here's the twist nobody expects, though. The ocean would look cleaner near the coast, briefly, almost as a cruel joke. Rivers would carry waste out to sea before local eyes noticed it building offshore. Researcher Charles Moore first drew attention to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. He proved that ocean plastic doesn't wash up as one visible island. It spreads thin, invisible from a beach, no matter how polluted the water is underneath. That absence of visible trash near shore would be a trick, not a relief. The mess would just be somewhere else, quietly accumulating. Quiet again. Exactly the kind of quiet that should worry you. But the actual worst part is slower than the smell or the rats. It's what happens to a place once people stop believing it's worth cleaning at all. Broken windows theory, proposed by criminologists James Wilson and George Kelling, argued that visible neglect invites more neglect. One uncollected pile sends a signal that nobody's watching. Small disorder breeds larger disorder, not because people become worse, but because the environment stops asking anything of anyone. So the truck at your curb isn't just removing waste. It's a signal, repeated weekly, that someone is still watching, still maintaining, still expecting the neighborhood to hold its shape against entropy. Remove that signal, and you don't just get garbage. You get a slow unraveling of the quiet agreement that keeps a shared space livable for everyone using it. Isn't it strange that something this unglamorous turns out to be one of the load-bearing walls of an entire civilization? Think about what else runs like this in your own life right now. Invisible until the moment it stops. The water that arrives clean every time you turn the tap. The power that's just there, humming behind every wall. That collection truck rolling down your street isn't some chore being outsourced to strangers. It's a promise being kept, on schedule, by people you've probably never once noticed doing the work. You still won't think about your trash differently tomorrow morning. You'll still tie the bag shut, still walk it to the curb half asleep, still forget about it the second the lid closes. But now you know exactly what that forgetting costs to maintain, invisibly, on your behalf, every single week. And maybe, just once, when that truck passes by, you'll notice the quiet it's protecting you from.